You are listening to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, where each week we have a conversation with everyday martial arts practitioners. From the first motivation to train, martial arts enriches our lives and becomes a lifestyle. Welcome to the individual stories of those martial artists living that lifestyle. You are listening to the abbreviated version. For those of you checking this out on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Full-length versions of this podcast can be subscribed to at our Patreon page, is www.patreon.com/malmag. Or individual full-length episodes can be purchased at our Gumroad page at malmag.gumroad.com. Before we begin this week's program, I would like to remind you to check out martialartslifestylemagazine.com to see articles on the martial arts. Click on the store tab to find products for the practice of Southeast Asian martial arts, featuring Timmy B's brand sticks. Check out the courses tab, currently featuring a course on the Dos Manos method of the Filipino martial arts. Also check out our Places to Train page, featuring top quality martial art academies from around the world. And of course, check out our events page for seminars and events coming up around the world. To see your school listed in our Places to Train page or your event on our events calendar, contact us at malmagonline@gmail.com. This week I get on Zoom and I connect to Lansing, Michigan, and I talk to my old friend Michelle Kuzma. We talk about her recent Dog Brothers fight here in Los Angeles, how she got into martial arts, studying with Dan Inosanto and Larry Hartzell as a young girl, teaching martial arts and being a full-time nurse, and much more. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, and this week I'm talking with Michigan, connecting on Zoom, and I'm talking with, I'm going to call you a friend because we've known each other quite a while, and in the show I try to represent the demographic of females in martial arts because there's many more involved than what the press or what martial art press tends to put out. So Michelle's been involved here. This is Michelle Kuzma. Welcome to the show. Michelle's been involved in martial art for a long time. Like she kind of go back to I found actually video of you when you were younger at a Larry Hartzell seminar, and we'll talk about that as well as a lot of very interesting things about your background and training, and you have a career in healing people as well as a nurse. So you're an interesting, what I would call yin and yang in this area, and that we have a lot of people who are healers, and then you learn how to do great damage to the body too.
Right. Well, my father was a fighter and my mother was a healer, so that's
good. You're a combination of both then.
Right.
Well, speaking of fighting, you came out here to LA recently and you did something that I actually oddly didn't know. I mean, I know of the Dog Brothers and I know of their contact stick fighting, obviously, but I never knew that there were women who partook in it. And then you told me, yeah, I'm going to go Saturday and fight in this thing. I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. I mean, crazy good. So why don't you tell us about that? I mean, from like doing this thing, not only, I'm not going to mention ages, but we're both kind of past, I would say, prime fighting age. So not only are you a female jumping into this thing, but you're kind of doing a thing that I would say the average person, I'm not going to call us old, but I'm going to say, the average person that's our age is not going to say, I'm going to go actually crack somebody with a stick, in a fight. So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. That's really cool.
Yeah, well, I'm 54, in case anybody's wondering. So, but I feel like I'm in better shape now than I was about 10 years ago. Just I've been training and getting my body in shape. And, a few years ago I still technically have, but I have inflammatory arthritis. So there was a few years when I could barely walk.
I remember those years. I remember your knee giving you such a hard time.
Yeah, and my ankle, and it's like I couldn't hardly do anything. So, and then the pandemic hit and my body fell apart. So I'm just really, really thankful that I can be active in the martial arts again. So I had a wonderful week coming down and with the Inosanto Academy and spending the whole week with Guro Dan. And, I was able to do Muay Thai again, which is huge for me because I've always loved Muay Thai. But with my my arthritis and everything, there wasn't any way for me to be able to do it with any kind of force or, I went to Muay Thai camp 2014. And the last time I saw Master Ajarn Chai was 2019. And then you have the pandemic, but around that time my body started falling apart. Um, Anyways, I'm getting off track here. Sorry, but
That's
I'm just
okay. Well, and we should wish Ajarn Chai a happy birthday. Today is October
yes,
17th that we're recording this. So yesterday was his birthday and the WTBA Instructors Day. So
yes, and they put out I'm going to put a plug for this. There's a new movie that somebody named Adam Wagner put together, and it's limited time, I guess, free. And if you're on Facebook, they have the link on like the Arjun Chai.
oh, I saw that. I think I shared it on my Southeast Asian martial art. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'd like to see it. It looks
Yeah, I'm
good.
gonna watch it after this because I want to see. Yeah.
That's a good way to spend a Friday, I think.
Well, yeah. So, but anyways, yeah. So one of the things I loved about Muay Thai was being able to go hard, and it helped me get out my aggression and things like that. So, but with my joints being the way they were, it just wasn't as possible. I mean, I could still do it softly, but I wasn't, I need to punch things. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I have some friends that are involved in the Dog Brothers, and they kind of got me involved in that. So I started it when I wasn't able to move very well, but at least I could move a stick. I could swing a stick. So, but that was 4 years ago. I went to my first gathering 4 years ago, and that was during the pandemic. So it was in Chicago. But the one I came down to here, like last month, was the first one I went to in LA, like was the big pre-pandemic type where everybody, comes. Um, and I was in a lot better shape. I had been training almost, all year, getting my body, losing weight, getting stronger, blah, blah, blah. So I was all excited to do it. Unfortunately, um, unfortunately they have some policies about women fighters that I am just not going to be able to get on board with. And so what happened was my coaches had told me ahead of time, this is an open gathering, and, women can fight men, it's Kali. It's supposed to be combat. It's not a sport. It's supposed to be combat. We have, the masks on and everything. So like, here's some good guys that are full dog brothers and you can fight us. So I said, okay. So they set me up with these matches. And then I get down there and I do 3 matches. One is with a male, a really big guy,
Mm-hmm.
which I do have to say the Dog Brothers as a whole, they are wonderful, wonderful people. And I met a lot of wonderful people down there when I was down there. But anyways, so the first one was with him, Steve, and then the second one was with a female, Sherilyn, and then the third one was with a male again. His name was Glenn. But then after the third fight, Mark Denny, this was his gathering, right? And this is his organization. So he just came and said, Michelle, actually, he said, bad dog. He said, bad dog, you are not allowed to fight the men. And I'm like, what? Because my coaches had told me that this was the plan. I
Right.
was doing what I was, he says, well, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. And so at this point, I was already, it's like you're in fight mode. It's like fight week, and you're already in that aggressive state and everything. But it's like you yanked out of it in the middle of a round. Is how it felt to me. I was like,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
it was very.
Now, were you lined up to fight somebody already for a fourth one and it just kind of got kiboshed? Is that
Well,
kind of
I kiboshed it because I went over to my coach and I said, apparently he doesn't want me to fight any more men. And so I don't know what I'm doing here then, because there's only 3 women here.
Mhm.
So I just said, and then one of the girls, he sent a girl over to fight me, which we did have a fight set up.
Mhm.
And she said, would you like to fight me? But at that point, I was like, you know what? Unfortunately, I feel like as a matter of principle, I need to remove myself from this situation and just go home. But normally I would love to fight you. It's not a matter of I don't want to fight females. It's not that
Right.
I fought female and male. It's a matter of deciding my own fate,
Yeah, sure. Okay.
being an
Yeah.
adult and being able to decide that. And so, you know, um, afterwards, he did provide a reason for that. And it was, I'm not going to say it on air because I don't think that would be ethical of me to, I don't think he would want me to say it on air, but it was about politics. So
Okay.
it's not a valid reason. And I'm 54 years old. And the good thing about being 54 years old is that you stop caring what everybody else thinks. So
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
I feel like as an Inosanto instructor, and I have 4 instructorships: Rick Fay, Larry Hartzell, Master Chai, and then I have my original black belt from when I was a girl. So it's like I've been doing this a long time.
Right.
Um, I have had a lot of instructors. I have not been exposed to discrimination before, and it just floored me. I couldn't believe it because um, martial arts is generally a pretty level playing field. So,
Right.
in fact, I went to my friend Reggie, who was, we used to work out when I was a teenager, and he knew I was going to be doing this. So then after I got home, he's like, "So, how was the Dog Brothers fight?" And I said, "Well, I said it was good until it wasn't good." And he says, "Well, what happened?" Now, Reggie, I should tell you, is a black male. He's in his 70s. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and I mean, he's like a father figure to me. I've known him since I was, 12 years old or whatever. We used to work out in the original group years and years. So he said, I said, "Reggie, I've never asked you this before." I said, "But I've always considered martial arts to be a pretty level playing field." And he's like, "Yeah, I agree." Um, and I said, "But have you ever been discriminated against in your life? I mean, you must have been. You're in your 70s." And he said, "Yeah, a time or two." So then I told him what happened, and he started laughing. And he said, "So let me get this straight. You were already actively fighting the men." I said, "Yes." And he said, "And Mark Denny taps you on the shoulder and says, 'Stop beating up on my guys. You were not allowed to fight the men.'" And I said, "Yeah, that's pretty much how it went." And so he's like, "Oh, wow." And he's I said, "No one no one seems to quite understand how I feel about this." And it's like, "Well, yeah, because they're not being discriminated against. They don't understand it." So, anyways, I just decided that I'm not going to endorse or be a part of it anymore because I don't want younger. It's like I have girls that are younger than me.
Right.
I need to be an example for them. And I need to say, you know what? This is not okay. This is not okay. And it's 2025. And if this is really supposed to be a combat situation where we're learning to defend ourselves, there is no fairness. There is no, um, see, this is another thing I want to talk about, but there's a difference between women in sports and women in combat. Because when you are fighting, if or when I get attacked, more than likely it's going to be a male, and more than likely he's going to be at least 100 pounds heavier than me, right? Maybe more than one. So there's no fairness to it. So I need to
Hmm.
know how to handle myself with that. So when I started doing the Dog Brothers, it's try to actually test my skills. Um, but they don't want women to do that because it would make them look bad. So, at least in the open gatherings, which I did not find acceptable. So, but
Oh, they were concerned about an image of women getting hit by men.
yeah,
Is that okay?
yeah,
I got it.
yeah.
Okay. Got it.
But it's like if this was sports, like there's this is a separate debate we can get into. I know we've
Right.
talked before about women in sports and, women fighting trans athletes or no, fighting, competing against trans athletes and all that. And I fully think that if you are in something for a trophy, like the Olympics or high school or whatever. It's like, yeah, you should be matched with someone your same gender, your same weight class, your same strength, because that's about sports. That's about what's in,
Yeah,
you know,
obviously, yeah. And I think that's obviously an ongoing debate and conversation with that. And I'm thinking, not to sidetrack it, but I'm thinking a lot of the sports organizations obviously take that whole situation very seriously in that, and that's why there's a lot of rules, regulations, tests, and stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, what I understand, because you're talking about where the Dog Brothers are, um, yeah, it's a different thing, and because they're not even with the men, they don't do weight classes, right? So it's
No,
not
you can
like
fight it.
a
Yeah. And
yeah, okay,
that was the other thing that upset me is, I find out after the fact from some of my friends, because some of my friends did come talk to me, they're like, nobody follows this rule. Mark Denny's the only one that does this anymore. Women fight men in Europe, they fight men in Canada. We don't do this back at our home group. It's really just a Mark Denny preference. And
okay,
as an Inosanto instructor, I don't think that's okay. So, especially in the martial arts. And I never expected to find myself some sort of spokesperson for feminism in the martial arts. Here we are.
but
Oh,
you're right. You one thing I think as martial art people, especially, is we get on, and you have a school, right?
I sort of do. I have a little dojo in the backyard. I did run classes pre-pandemic. Now I just do privates for people that want,
Okay,
and I'll teach occasional seminars, women self-defense seminars and things like
gotcha.
that. I mean, I'm pretty busy as a full-time nurse practitioner, so
Right,
it's not like I'm trying to open a school or
right.
anything like that.
But even in both of those positions, teaching and as a nurse, I think you've understood, especially at our age, we have become role models whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So there is a situation where we are going to have younger people looking up to us, and what is our behavior going to be? What example are we going to set? So I think you're very cognizant of that, and you're very intelligent to understand that, okay, this is now a situation that whatever you do is going to be looked at, and lessons learned from people, and like what do you want, what do you want to take away from it, and what do you want them to take away from it? So I think that's, yeah, I think that's smart that you're thinking about that.
Yeah, I don't want to appear as if I'm endorsing it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Right.
because I do love the Dog Brothers. It's actually been quite a um it's been very hard on me to think about all this, and giving it up, stepping back from it, because I do love those guys and I have a great time when I do it. But it's like I can't endorse this. I can't
Hmm.
endorse it. So, and like I said, now I can do Muay Thai again. So
Yeah, yeah.
so I mean, there's always, they love going really hard and everything, but they're not the only ones. They pride themselves on being like one of the most hardcore groups out there, but there
Hmm.
are other hardcore groups out there. I mean, like one of the things, that Guro Dan always says is like, they started here in the school. And he said that several times when I was down there that week. He says, I started out with 60 students and then we did full contact fighting. And then the next week I had 30. And then the next.
Right, yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like you can't, it's not like they're the only ones that do it. They're just the only ones that make it their whole
Yeah,
deal.
yeah,
And but you
right.
could totally be an Osano person or a Rick Fay person or any other kind of Kali person, and you can practice full contact stick fighting if
Sure.
you want to. Cass Magda, I'm actually get to see him tomorrow. He's coming to
Oh,
um,
that's right. Yeah.
so I'm excited about that. I remember him saying, we used to do that at this all the time back in the early days before, things like insurance and everything else.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So it's like it's not as I don't want to say it's not as unusual, or I mean there's other people,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
exactly.
But yeah, I don't want to give the impression that I agree with it because I don't. So, and
All right.
I'm very sad that it had to happen that way.
Yeah.
But anyways, so
Awareness is a good thing. I mean, so people are aware, and then, we'll see, what comes of it. It's people, I'm guessing clearly you said you had a conversation with Mark. He's got his reasons or whatever. And who knows, maybe the conversation in the future will allow for changes in this. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, it was a text, but yeah, it explained his reasoning. And sorry, it just does not cut it in 2025. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's 1950 anymore. So,
Yeah, the
nope.
constant civilization structure, the struggle, right? Things move on. I always quote, Rush of all things, the rock band Rush in the song Tom Sawyer, that has the lyric of changes aren't permanent, but change is. So, we as humans, some feel the need to resist that, but change happens, and one way or the other, it's a rolling tide, and we have to learn how to adjust to that. But
maybe one thing that they will say is, well, we have women, because they do have a few.
mm-hmm.
But I will say most of them are young, and the thing that younger women, they don't have necessarily the life experience to be able to see what's going on. It's like,
right.
you realize that this is not okay. Do you realize, that I actually just posted something a few weeks ago. There was in 1967, which was 60 years ago ish, almost 60 years ago.
Yeah.
It was illegal for women to run in the Boston Marathon. Illegal.
Yes.
I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Yeah. And did you see? There's some great photographs of the first woman trying to do that, and these guys trying to push her out of it.
Yep, that's what I posted.
Yeah.
Because her guys that were her friends gathered around her and shielded said, no, this is not okay. She has the right to be there.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it's scary to think about too. Even in within my lifetime, I think about when I was seeing the years. So it's like, oh man, I was already born at this time.
Yeah.
Women couldn't get a credit card without a husband cosigner and a bank account and stuff like that. That's scary for me to even think about that. That's my lifetime.
Yeah, I know. It's like I think it was 1974 is when women could first get a credit card without having their husband on the account, And
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, it just blows my mind that, we talk about racial discrimination and all these things, which are real. I'm not saying it's not real, but women's discrimination is still very alive and well.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. And I mean, it all is to a point. And that's, it's a bigger outside discussion. But, and I always, the way I would tie it into this is I always would hope that the martial art thing we do brings us together in a way that we see a camaraderie of people, no matter their gender, their faith, their race, or whatever, and we understand everyone is humans and equal in that way. It's like, even when we talk about equality, there's a lot of arguments about it. And it's like, okay, you're starting to play with definition number 1 versus definition number 2 versus definition number 3 in that. And so when we talk about equality among people, we don't mean that you have equal strength to me. And people like to play that game. And it's like, that's not what we mean. We're talking about treating each other like, with respect is what it basically boils down to. And I would always hope that this thing that we do is a good conduit to help us do that better, to be better people in that department.
Oh, absolutely. And the dog brothers that I trained with and the dog brothers that I fought and met at the gathering, they absolutely treated me with respect. It was not them. So I want to make that clear. But yeah, I remember seeing a meme one time about, everyone is equal on the mat, race, birth, religion, politics, none of that matters.
And this concludes the abbreviated version of the podcast. Please consider supporting the program by going to www.patreon.com/MALMAG and subscribing to the show. You can also purchase this individual episode or any individual episode at our Gumroad page. That's malmag.gumroad.com. Thank you for listening to this episode with Michelle Kuzma. Coming up next week, I connect to Miami and I talk to the real Miami Vice and my good friend Gil Morales. Our Malmag online store at martialartslifestylemagazine.com has a full selection of Timmy B's brand sticks for FMA and Krabi Bong. Timmy B's brand now selling in Japan as well. Beautiful Timmy B's brand shirts and Dos Manos shirts are available. We also have sarongs, malongs, and wooden training knives. An online course in the Dos Manos method for FMA is available under the Courses tab. More courses coming soon. Check out the Places to Train tab to find schools near you, and click on the Events Calendar page to see what seminars and events are happening all around the world. And of course, visit our main page for articles on the martial arts. Music by Arthur J. Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine and the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast are trademarked and copyrighted by TNT LLC.